Hello, hello, hello. How are you? And welcome back to Sip and Chill with Coach Reg. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you all. I hope your week has been good and you are ready for the weekend. I know I am. I don't think I kind of look forward to them anyway, but I do have some work to do this weekend, so it's not going to really be a lot of fun. But it's good work. It's necessary work. So, yeah. Anyway, happy Friday. Welcome back to the lounge. Hey, Deani, how you doing? Welcome. I see people coming on. Come on in, say hello. Hope you are all doing well. So I'm going to get into it because I think this topic is something that that we need to talk about, right? In terms of last week, we dealt with the relationship, and we're going to deal with and then what, which is the healing. Before we get into that, let me tell you who I am, right? So I'm your guy, Coach Reg, relationship coach and founder of Are You Coached, a relationship coaching platform geared toward helping individuals identify, participate, strengthen, and sustain healthy relationships. Hey, Karan, how are you? I work with high-achieving professionals, women who have attained many of their goals but may not yet have the interpersonal relationship that best serves her, best complements her. And we coach around those things, those types of things, those types of concerns, those areas in which she wishes and desires to improve. The same is true for men. Although I don't market directly to men, I do work with men because regardless of your gender, it is a value proposition. Because when an individual is clear on their value and worth, hey Carol, hey Bernice, when an individual is clear on their value and worth, their decisions and choices will reflect. Conversely, when they're not, the same is true. Okay? So, again, I need to disclaim something to you. I am not a physician. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I am not a counselor. I'm a coach. Coaching is not advice. Coaching is not my opinion. Coaching is not, if I were you, this is what I would do. Coaching is asking powerful questions to help that individual get to a better place in their thinking around the decisions and choices that they must make for their own lives. Okay? So I'm a coach. That's what I do. Okay? I know a lot of you get that, but I think it's important to say because this topic we're going to deal with is sensitive, right? And a lot of times words get used loosely, and so what I don't want to do is conflate what's going on. So in NPD, a narcissism personality disorder is a diagnosable disorder. It is not something that I would diagnose, again, because I'm not a doctor. But people may have been in relationships with persons who could have been diagnosed or could have had traits or behaviors that look like that. I'm not negating the experience. I'm simply saying that it was an experience, and it may not have been that if it were not diagnosed. But we dealt with that last week. What we're going to deal with this week is the and then what, which is the healing part. Okay? Hey, James, how you doing? Hey, Paulette. Hey, Pitty Doo. How are you? Good to see you all. Happy Friday and welcome to the lounge with Coach Reg. So happy to have you here. And this is going to be hopefully a really good session for us. Okay? And definitely chime in with your comments and your thoughts or your questions. Definitely want to address those as well. So let's get to it. Last week we discussed the narcissist and empath relationship. Now we want to look at the healing and what that looks like. And so in doing so, we're going to discuss the part of the equation that is you. Hey, Jeff, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Hey, Nikki, how you doing? Happy Friday to you both. Welcome to the lounge. So we're going to focus on the part that is you, right? That is the individual. And what I like to do is share with you 3 structures that, if implemented, can totally produce healthier relationship outcomes. How's that sound? Yeah, I believe in positive outcomes, right? We may have a situation, but that situation doesn't define us. There's a way out of it. There's a way, because it's all in how we think about it, how we feel about it, and what we can do and take personal responsibility for. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today, okay? So the first structure is habits, right? How does one first begin to break free and heal? Well, it's going to likely start with developing new habits. Yeah, new habits. And those new habits are going to be new habits, right? Breaking old habits, developing new habits, new emotions and beliefs, divorced from those that used to keep you bound emotionally. Okay? So let's do it this way. Let me say that again. Hey Dawn, how you doing? Welcome to the lounge. Happy Friday. Let me say that again. What you're practicing and what you're healing from is breaking free of habits, emotions, and beliefs that may have kept you emotionally bound. Again, we're talking about and then what, right? So we're talking about how to move beyond that space, develop new habits, and it starts with these things right here to get new results. So number one, acknowledge your role. Remember, in every relationship, it's a shared responsibility, okay? And it's important to take responsibility for it. So when I use the word you, I'm speaking to the collective, not you directly. I just want to be clear. I know that may seem simple, but I want to be very clear that this is not accusatory. It's not me saying this is what you need to do. If this applies, it's a suggestion. It's something for you to consider. And it's a series of questions for you to figure out if they make sense for you. So, acknowledge your role. What things did you allow or accept that led to the less than desirable outcome? Once you have those answers, determine which things required the appropriate response of no. Again, we're talking about healing from a narcissistic or a narcissistic behavior type relationship with an empath. What could you have done, and what things would no been the appropriate answer for, the appropriate response? Make different choices so you can make different choices going forward. Saying no can apply to you, the other person, and is a complete sentence. Sounds straightforward, but I need you to understand this, because we're talking about boundaries, and we're going to not so much get into it, but we're talking about saying no because we have to protect our space. That's why this is important. That's why it's important for you to look. If a person is courageous enough to look in the mirror, this is why you would do it. Okay. Now, there is power in saying no because it protects you from continuing unhealthy behavior and supports your emotional growth and well-being. Number two, you got to learn to manage your feelings. Allow yourself to feel whatsoever the emotion, but do not wallow in it or stay there forever. This is where learning to recognize saboteurs and sages can serve you and possibly save you from spiraling. Okay, so let me share with you what your saboteurs and sages are. They both are thoughts, and one is like a saboteur, sabotage, right? And think of your sage as your champion. And so if you have thoughts that are causing you to spiral, quick check, it's probably a saboteur, right? And so your sage comes to your aid in that space, and when you recognize it in that moment that this is what is going on, so you can kind of course correct real time. Okay, so if someone is emotionally manipulative, and you know they can be, don't let the manipulation win. For example, guilt can be a saboteur, and sages are in play to help shift emotional perspective positively. All those saboteurs and sages are born from your thoughts. Recognizing and employing them, your sage, when saboteurs show up, will assist you mightily in managing your emotional well-being. Be courageous and lean into your sage, because that's your champion, that's your support, right? Hey, Tanya, how you doing? Welcome to the lounge. Welcome back, I should say. How we doing so far? Want to make sure we're good because we're about to get into number 2. Thumbs up work. If you have some questions, let's throw them out. But we're going to move through this information I want to share. Structure 2. Develop healthy attachments, right? Design, you've heard me speak about design, and designing speaks to, in this instance, how you want to be. How you want to be. Design for yourself. How you want to be present and how you want to show up in relationships. Again, we're talking about healing, what you can do. And there's coaching support around this, but it starts with changing. We're talking about developing new habits and adding some structures in your life, developing new habits. And now we're talking about developing healthy attachments. So the toxic relationship may have taught you how to be until now, but we're going to counter that paradigm. And although you may have heard the words a toxic relationship, do you trust yourself to know if you were in a toxic relationship? You know, hey Kathy, how you doing? Toxic relationships are not healthy attachments, and left unchecked will seem normal and acceptable. All attachments aren't bad. In fact, they should be good and healthy and stable, right? That's what they should be. Hey Robin, how you doing? Happy Friday. We can totally take back our power, right? And design how we want to be in our relationships and not have being dictated for us. Again, now we're speaking about choice, right? And these are choices that we can make. Now, in other words, you no longer have to accept less than respect, compassion, and or consideration in relationships. That, again, you don't have to. We understand the manipulation. We understand the things that go into it. But again, remember, we're talking about healing. How do we move beyond? Not just the experience happened, but the experience does not define you, doesn't define the individual. It's something that happened, and now it's about how can we be better going forward. So I talked about how you want to be, right? So now let's talk about do. Hey Tanya, how you doing? Okay. we are going to get there, Tanya. I promise we will. But it's really more about handling you first and getting you squared away and getting you improving in areas where you can establish good boundaries will help you deal with those types of people, those crafty, manipulative people. Okay, one second. Diani, do you think certain situations make you settle for the toxicity of a relationship, whether it be kids, marriage, responsibility? What triggers one to draw the line and go forward with healing? That's a great question, Diani. And I think that, it's situational. That's the thing, right? Each situation is different. It's not cookie cutter. I think what I want you to be clear on is you understanding what you're a part of and looking at whatever that relationship experience or situation could be in totality, being honest with yourself about what you see and being courageous enough to remove yourself if that's what you have to do. Because those things, when you talk about kids, whatever that responsibility that you feel that draws you in, I understand that because we're human, we're compassionate, we're empathetic, right? We care. And when you're a caring person, it's natural that you're going to look at this and like, oh man, I want to do something, I want to fix, but it may not be for you to do. Especially if you're not getting back what you're willing to give. That is the thing. And that's why I said I get to this crafty, I get to this manipulative, but I just want you to be clear on what it is you're considering and why, and being honest with yourself about what you're getting out of it in return. If you're getting the same consideration, the regard and compassion and understanding, not for the moment, but for a consistent and sustainable time, a period of time, then absolutely, stay there. But if that's what you choose. But please don't let the emotion or the gravity of the situation drive your choice to accept less than. And so it's a continual evaluation. It really is. Does that answer your question? Okay. So what makes it unfixable? Um, Again, Deani, it's really, it's situational, right? I mean, again, a relationship shared responsibility, so that person has to be participating with you on a continuum. The unfixable part is your awareness. It's not that you have to fix it. Understand, fixing and choosing are two different things. Yeah, you may recognize that something needs to be fixed or can be fixed, but that doesn't mean you have to choose to try to fix it. Because if you choose to do that, that means you also recognize that that person is choosing to participate with you in the repair. And if that person isn't willing to do that, then now we're back to choice, which is where we started. You have to choose. And that's really what I'm saying. It's all a choice in how you think and being honest about what it is you're seeing, what it is you're what it is you're considering participating in. Okay? Because this is not about what the other person can do, what the other person did. It's more about you and you making the choice, which is why I said we're focusing on the healing. Okay? So, all right. This is good. Let's keep going. So, thank you, D. Thank you so much. So what I'd like you to, the next thing we want to talk about is the do. Okay, what I'm going to encourage you to consider doing is a compare and contrast. Okay? Can you readily identify a healthy relationship? Hold on 1 second. Tanya, you know, it is a work. It is a lot of work. And I think that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the individual effort. We're not talking about the story. We're not talking about what happened. We're not talking about the experience. And so you're absolutely right. That is individual work, and it is a necessary work in order for you to move from where you are to where you need to be. And where you need to be could be recognizing, or where you feel you should be, could be recognizing the behaviors and traits that you need to avoid and flee. Okay? That could absolutely be the work that you need to do. Okay? So, again, let's get back to do. Do a compare and contrast. Can you readily identify a healthy relationship? Is it similar to which you have, these are questions to ask yourself. Is it similar to which you've which you've accepted or allowed? If different, what are the differences? In this relationship experience that you may have had, there are many needs that you may have had. And if you think deeply about it, you may even realize that none of them were ever met. But you stuck around in hopes that you'd finally get the validation for which you yearned. So to go back to Deani's point, a question about is it fixable? You know, again, you got to pay attention. It's not just an in-the-moment situation. It is more around if it's sustainable, if it's continual, if this is consistent, right? Not just for the moment. And understand, you gotta, this is around, remember some of those traits, right? So if a person spends more time focusing on themselves, but they pretend to focus on you, you know when somebody cares about you. And if you don't, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I want you to be clear. Again, value and worth. It is a value-worth proposition. Are you, remember we did the sip and chill a few weeks ago. Do you offer what you ask? In this case, are you receiving what you're giving? You see how that works? See, this is about you checking you and you being honest with what you see about you, and also being honest about what you're receiving. And if you're not what you want, not what it seems like, it's an exercise in patience. I promise you it's not easy, but it's necessary. And you will be all the better for it because, again, we're talking about healing. I understand, Dawn. I do. So, the best approach to coping with unmet needs within a toxic attachment relationship is to learn to grieve the loss of not having those needs met. That will heal the brokenness within you and teach you to let go of the hopes that kept you entangled. I'll say that again. What is this patience I speak? The patience I speak of, Quran, is allowing the benefit of time to serve you. Yeah, because it's not done overnight. It is a work. It's a process. It's transformative. Because remember, you may have more runtime in this experience and in that space and thinking the way that you've been thinking and moving and doing and being, but all of those things are not serving you. So what we're talking about is taking back the control, take back the power. If you are healthy and whole and believe that you can do that, and are better, more than that you're willing to. Okay? Because no one can do it for you. And listen, let's take exercise, for example, right? Say someone who you see, man, they're really fit. I promise you, they didn't wake up that way. They put work in, and they had to build new habits that they may not have had before, that they chose to stick to, that got them to that result. That now you can appreciate. It's like, wow, that person is fit. But if you had seen them several months prior, perhaps you wouldn't have had the same impression or opinion of them. So again, you have to allow the benefit of time to serve you. Kathy, I can't outsource it. Unfortunately not, Quran. That's pretty good. Unfortunately not. Kathy, would you agree that most times it becomes hard to compare and contrast when you were raised by parents who had dysfunctional risk? Sometimes it's all person. Right. Yes, it is. And Kathy, listen, that is part of the work. Part of the work is awareness, right? Part of the work is really, and I promise you, we're going to get, actually I'm going to get to some of that. And because we talked about structures, right? So we're talking about habits, we talked about habits, we moved to attachments, and we're going to get to what's next in terms of changing how you think, right? And this is, again, all intended to cover how healing occurs, regardless of the experience. If you're someone who identifies as an empath, you have choices. This is not something that is like, it's not a death sentence or a life sentence. Oh, terminal, I got to stay here. No, you don't. No, you don't. You absolutely do not. And that's the beauty. Because you are aware, you definitely can get to, you can make some different choices because you're aware, but it's going to require developing new habits, new structures, right? New attachments, thinking differently, making different choices, being even more intentional than perhaps you were before. Okay? Let's see, 1 second. Gwen, see, interesting phrasing. Letting go of the hopes therein lies the core of it. The hopes that it was promised will eventually come, even though actions are different. That resonates with me. Awesome. Yeah. It's we have to, and you have to grieve the loss of that, right? Because it's not going to happen with that person, and that's the thing that you have to remember. Again, you can choose, even though it hurts, you grieve and you mourn the loss of that, but it doesn't mean that you're not prepared or able to move forward again, because we want to become whole. We want to become the best versions of ourselves. And that takes time, right? Allowing the benefit of time to serve you. And Gwen, it's not, again, I want to stress and emphasize, I'm not suggesting that this is easy. I'm not suggesting that it's a piece of cake. It's going to take some work, because perhaps emotionally bound is a thing. When your heart's attached to someone, when you care for someone and you believe that person is worthy of your care and concern and compassion and empathy and all the things you freely give, if you're not getting that in return, not empty promises, but intentional and deliberate action that matches or exceeds your effort, I'm simply suggesting that you have a choice. And it's not easy to do, but it's a worthwhile endeavor. So, okay, where were we? Yeah. Okay, gotcha. So, let's talk. Oh, Deani, question. Okay. Do you think that once you leave your ex, she can develop healthier relationships, habits with the next lover, but you might end up being the narcissist? No. I don't, Deani. No, because remember, again, I don't want to conflate it. Narcissism, NPD, narcissism personality disorder, or narcissistic personality disorder, is a diagnosable thing. So if someone has traits or behaviors, it doesn't necessarily make them a narcissist or mean that they're a narcissist. And it certainly doesn't mean that you have to become one beyond that relationship. See, because again, I want you to be clear. We're not focusing on what that person is doing and who they move on with. We're talking about how you heal from that experience so you can be better going forward in your relationships. That's the focus of this. So, yeah. Next, around developing healthy attachments. You want to develop a support network. You want to, just as an empath is working to get away and become more emotionally free from trauma bonds and abuse, that narcissist personality is working to bring the empath back under their control. So you got to be strong. That's why I'm saying this isn't easy. This is a value proposition, and that support network is of professionals, coaches, right? Friends, and trusted family members who understand your goals to be free from that experience and who actively, positively, and compassionately support your journey to heal. That is critical because you cannot do this alone, right? Obviously, I offer coaching support in this space and for this space, but what's the saying? It takes a village. Yeah, it takes a village. And so that's why it's important to break free from old habits, develop new habits. And these are the structures, I believe, that will help you get to that place that you aspire to be. Okay? It does take a lot of strength. Absolutely, Kathy. 100%. Again, can't do it alone. And we're not here alone. We're not here for ourselves. We're here to serve and support others. And if people who love and care for you understand that and you invite them to do that, then now you have allies. You have advocacy, right? Okay, Tanya, how do we handle the situation where your support group is tired of hearing about the person's issues and us being... Well, here's the thing, right? Remember, if let's ask a better question. Why are they tired? Are they tired because they continue to hear you and see you make choices that are less than and don't serve you? Because they probably, I don't believe, because if they care about you, they care about you and they want you to succeed and win and whatever. And they want you to be a part of and participate in a healthy relationship, not something that's draining and debilitating. And so again, less about the support, more about the choice you make. So maybe what they're tired of is not hearing about it, but seeing you accept less than when you don't have to, and perhaps they've encouraged you to consider something else. And what we're talking about is healing. It's not about staying stuck. And I need you to hear me. I know and I believe this is not an easy proposition, but it is necessary and it is worthwhile, is what I'm trying to help you understand. And I want to convey, I'm sorry, not help you understand, but to convey. Because your current situation, if this is an experience that you're in or you have been in, it takes time to get out of it. Hey Stacy, how you doing? Happy Friday. Welcome back to the lounge. Tanya, makes sense, but how do we handle that situation? You know what, Tanya, tell you what, let's take that one offline because I think we would need more time with that. But I totally would like to talk to you more about it. But in short, handling it. Hey Angela, how you doing? Welcome to the lounge. But in handling it, it's again, I want to emphasize the choices that you make. You do have choices. You're not stuck. Again, we're talking about changing, breaking old habits and developing new. So it's a thought process. It's a paradigm shift, sincerely. And again, I promise you, we are going to, I'm going to get into that. Actually, that's the next structure, believe it or not, right? So yeah, I appreciate your question. And I definitely want to answer it. So please, if you want, you can schedule with me at bit.ly Coach Reg session. Takes you directly to my scheduler, and we can have and choose chemistry session, answer the questions, and get it scheduled, and we'll rock and roll from there. So yeah. Now, kind of thank you for the segue, right? Of how do you handle the situation. The third structure is changing how you think. Okay, we'll spend some time with this. So we're going to reverse engineer results. Okay, and to do so, it begins with how you think, right? So in essence, let's do it this way. If you look at your results, okay, again, we're going to reverse engineer it. So if you look at your results, the first question you need to be clear on is, how did I get here? Okay, and especially if you don't like them. And if you do like them, you still can do the same thing. But in this instance, we're talking about healing and breaking old habits, developing new habits to get better results for more healthier relationship outcomes. Okay, so reverse engineering your results. It goes back to, so if you have your results, then you can move to your habits. Your habits are a direct reflection of your actions. Your actions are a direct reflection of how you speak. And how you speak is a direct reflection of how you think. Yeah, it's true. Get your thoughts right, your results change. Because your thoughts will lead to how you speak, which you expect, which you believe. Those words will become your actions because you'll do things consistent with what you're thinking and what you're speaking. You do it long enough, any habit that you want to break, any habit that you want to create, it takes 21 consecutive days. Yeah, it does. You can't get to day 18 and say, oh, I'm skipping and go to 19. No, you sure cannot. You got to go 21 days straight. Allow that benefit of time to serve you. New habit. You develop new habits, guess what happens? You get new results. Guess what? It takes time. Let me be clear. I'm not suggesting to you that you're going to be healed in 100% in 21 days. Please don't hear. That's not what I'm saying to you. I'm saying as a new habit goes, isolated, it takes 21 days. What I'm also suggesting to you, and that I need you to hear me on, is that this is a process that takes time. Okay? It takes time. And you got to be honest with yourself about that time. Because these things work in tandem. Listen, I'll go back to the exercise example, right? That consistency, listen, some days you don't feel like working out, but you know you have to. It's necessary. Okay? It is so necessary to continue when you don't feel like it. But guess what? You did something, so it counts. It's not about 100%. It's not a zero-sum proposition where it's like, if I don't do anything, if I have to, you got to do something each day towards your goal. Okay? So, let me see. Gwen says, sounds like a cleansing of drug. But what you're saying resonates. But I need tools. I happen to be one of those lucky, unlucky people who happen to take. Yeah, you know what, Gwen, please hit my link. bit.ly Coach Reg session. We can totally talk about it and see if we can support you and help you move beyond that space. All right. Sounds good, Tanya. I'll look forward and expect a Zoom invite from me, calendar invite. So let's keep moving. We talked about how you reverse engineer your thoughts to get to new results. Okay? Now, here's what's next. You want to make a list. You're going to make 3 lists in this example. The first is making a list of destructive thoughts about yourself. The second is a list of constructive thoughts about yourself. The third is constructive and destructive thoughts about the relationship and your thoughts on relationships in general. Okay, Deani. I always think going through a toxic relationship will help you appreciate your next relationship even more and helps you realize the red flags. Yeah, you know what, Deani? That's a true statement if a person takes time to evaluate the experience. I don't disagree with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. If we take the time to evaluate what we experienced and not just we had an experience, then I believe that we absolutely going to be better going forward and realize and recognize red flags. Because again, you know your value worth, you know what's acceptable and is not, and you know what, when someone cares for you, is compassionate, empathetic, and considers you, not just in the moment, but for a consistent and sustainable period of time. And let me say this also, because this is important. I believe you still check in. Don't take it for granted just because they did it for a period of time. Oh, they will keep doing it because your guard is down. You still need to be aware. I get when you're drawn in with someone, and it's emotional. I understand that you let some stuff go. It's easy to do because you care. But you also need to check in to ensure that this is not a temporary deal. Because you'll know it because it's easy. They'll remind you of things. They'll ask you about things that you told them, and not just in the moment, not initially, but I'm saying a healthy relationship. Remember, we talked about healthy attachments. Part of that healthy attachment we talked about is your support network. People who are watching you, care for you, pull for you, cheer for you. If you say, here's a person I'm considering for a relationship, and I don't know where it's going, we're kind of still figuring this thing out. Ask for their input. Not that you need to do what they say, but ask them what they see. See, because when we're subjective, we have blind spots. And that's the beauty of having having a support group, because they bring to the equation a little thing called objectivity. And when we care for someone, or we're starting to, the logic of that evaporates. And the emotion tends to weigh more heavily because you're subjective. But your support group, your friends, your family who believe in you, ride with you, cheer for you, they're persons who are going to say, hey, I see you. This is good for you. They will give you sound feedback. Now, whether you take it or not, that's on you. But invite that objectivity into your life. Don't try to go it alone, and don't feel like you have to keep it a secret because, well, I've been through this before. They don't believe in me no more. No, those are self-defeating thoughts. I'm talking about people who have demonstratively shown you for a significant amount of time that they love you, they cheer for you, and they want the best for you. All right. Kathy, what did I get over? Let's see, what I did to get over, put a lot of energy into myself, treating myself, into the gym, just over other things. Yeah. I mean, it's what works for you, Kathy. That's the whole point of it. We're talking about choices that you can make that add value and look like self-care. And they're things that make you feel better, that cause you to think differently about yourself and understand that you don't have to accept stuff because, I'm an empathetic person. I'm a compassionate person. That's nice. No one said don't be that. But just be certain that when you're giving that to someone, that you're getting something out of it as well, meaning matched or exceeded. So good on you for doing that. Good on you. Okay. So we talked about those 3 lists. So why would you do this? The reason this is important is because you want to get clear on the self-defeating beliefs that kept you stuck. For instance, I mean, these are weak because my examples probably aren't the best and you may laugh, and it's okay, but I hope you get my point. Okay. So for example, say you're a woman and your guy says, or you think to yourself, I could never cut my hair. He likes my hair long or likes my hair this way. So I wouldn't do it because he wouldn't like it. If you're a guy and your lady thinks that you hang out too much and you say, well, I can't hang out too late because I never hit the end of it. Listen, like I said, the examples are the examples. They're not necessarily germane to your story. What I want you to be clear on is, regardless of the example, if not doing whatever your partner wants comes with a consequence, ask yourself, where does that belief come from? Why are you on punishment? How does that serve you? Listen, once you have disaggregated the belief that not doing what they want comes with consequence, you can see how you became conditioned to even sign up for that belief. That's what I'm saying about the work. This is not a conversation and, oh, you got an answer. No, it's going to take some time. It's going to take you thinking about it. It's going to take you working through it. Because remember, you're subjective. This is where coaching comes in. As you discuss and share what's going on, I'm asking you questions to compel more thought for you to dig deeper so that you can understand. We're talking about healing, not staying stuck. Why? Because you have choices. You really do. And I just want you to consider exercising them. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So now what? Kind of alluded to it a couple times, but professional coaching or professional support in a form of coaching could serve you. And if that is you, I'd like to invite you to schedule your no obligation chemistry session with me. The link is in the chat. I think someone has typed it in already, but it is bit.ly Coach Reg session. And we can totally talk about it. Book your chemistry session and we will totally see if we can help you work through this thing, because I want you to win. And if you're thinking about it, clearly you do. You just may not know how to get there, but perhaps we can help you. So yeah, that's it. That was a lot. I know that was a lot of information, but it's necessary to process, right? So again, 3 structures: habits, developing new habits, healthier attachments, and changing how you think. Those are the structures that are necessary to heal, to get to what? Healthier relationship outcomes. Does that make sense? Any questions? Okay. Okay, let me make sure I didn't miss any. I don't believe I did. Okay, fantastic. Listen, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I hope your week was good. Your weekend will be better. And your next week will be phenomenal. So listen, you know how to reach me? Happy you hung out with me for a little bit today in the lounge. And I look forward to seeing you next time. You're very welcome, Gwen. You're very welcome. Be sure to hit that link if you like, okay? I'm Coach Reg, and I love love. I will see you all next week. Oh, 1 second. Deani said, wait a minute, do you think it's possible that during your habit building time you can slip up? Yeah, you can. You totally can. And you got to start over. Yeah, you absolutely do. Absolutely do. Yeah, because again, you're human, right? It's not a perfection thing. It's something that's going to take time. Sounds good, Gwen. Dawn, absolutely. You're very welcome. But yeah, Deani, it's something that you can slip up because we're human. We're fallible. We're flawed, right? That's why that's why this takes effort and it takes time, because we have to develop new habits. But yes, you can. But it's not the end of the world if you do. You totally can continue, and you should, because that's what I said about time, right? I didn't say you're going to be consistent for 21 days. I said in order to develop the new habits, you have to be 21 days. Okay? Yeah. Good questions. Thank you for your participation. Absolutely. So, okay. James, one second. What are your thoughts on individual counseling versus support groups? Support groups opinions can yeah. Absolutely, James. Oh, no. Okay, so again, I'm not a counselor, and nor am I a therapist. I'm a coach. So I don't really have a thought on a counselor. I do know that therapy and coaching can work together in tandem, but you don't have to. So yeah, I wouldn't say. I would say individual focus first. Start with the therapist, start with the coach before you consider counseling and see what they recommend. Because it may not be that. When I say, and when you say support groups, again, I really would lean to initially your closest friends, the people who have proven, not people that you don't know well. It's not that you can't benefit from that. Don't get me wrong. And that's why I don't want to speak to what you should do or shouldn't. But what I would say is, tag up with the therapist or coach first to see if there's assistance they can provide, and then find out the best choice. Then determine the best decision for you at that point. That would be my suggestion for you to consider or to start with. Does that make sense? Just want to make sure we're tracking. You're welcome, Bernice. Jeff, trying to heal the relationship with my ex, but info resonates with what I'm doing. Fantastic. Fantastic, Jeff. Fantastic. And again, I told you I work with men. I did mention I work with men. So if it's something that you want to talk more about, please hit that link, bit.ly/Coach Reg session, and schedule a chemistry session. We can totally talk about it. You sure can. So, okay. I don't want to get off too soon because you guys may have questions, but guess what? It's okay if I do, because you can totally DM me. Just get me in the group and ask your questions, and we can totally start the conversation at that point. Man, this is exciting, and I'm glad that you are all finding value in this, and I'm grateful that it's helpful. I said to you last week, you guys put me to work. This is not stuff that I had to go do some work to come up with this. I mean, I did my homework is what I'm trying to say. And I think it's important because I want to add value to this space. And when people come here, that's what I want them to get, right? That's my heart's desire. So anyway, listen, again, have a great weekend. I'll see you guys next week. See you all next week. I'm Coach Reg, and I love. I will see you soon. Take good care.